Straight ahead on CCX News, students walk out of school trying to send a message about guns. Plus, the melt is on after a record-breaking April, what it could mean for possible flooding concerns. And big surprises for teachers in Robbinsdale area schools. CCX News starts right now.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. Thousands of students from around the country and right here in Minnesota walked out of their classes Friday to mark the 19th anniversary of the Columbine shooting.
The students are also calling for common sense gun safety reform. Reporter Sonia Goins has more.
It could happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody any day.
10 o'clock this morning, students at Park Center High School and Brooklyn Middle STEAM School walked out of their classrooms.
Enough is enough, and gun violence now.
They joined a national movement called March for Our Lives to stand up for positive change and stricter gun laws.
I want them to change it so that it can't be easy for someone to just go into a gun shop, get a gun, and come over here and shoot up a school.
They should do more extensive background checks on people who are getting guns.
Christian HAACK has his mom's support. In fact, she was the one who got him out of class.
I told him that he needed to have a good speech for me of why this is important to him, what the issue is.
Jennifer turned this into a teaching moment for her son.
He chose to go to the library, do some research, and then write some letters to his local representatives about why he thinks that gun reform is important.
Meanwhile, some students carried on with the protest by walking 2 miles to Brooklyn Park City Hall.
City Hall, y'all.
They politely asked to speak to Brooklyn Park politicians.
We're here and we're doing the walkout, and so we were wondering if we could talk to someone about maybe school safety or gun laws.
City Manager Jay Strobel greeted the group and listened to their concerns.
Just because it happened somewhere else doesn't mean it can't happen here. Anything could happen in this world.
We come to school to learn and be friendly, not to get killed and do walkouts and protests.
We're taking this serious because all our lives matter.
When things wrapped up, students took their voices outside, spreading their message of hope for a better tomorrow. The students say they're disappointed they didn't get to meet with the mayor and other city council officials. However, they call this day a success because they got to exercise their First Amendment rights. In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
At the Minnesota legislature, several gun control measures have been stalled, including an effort to require background checks for all gun sales. More progress is being made on proposals for security upgrades at schools.
The woman accused of striking and killing a Wayzata police officer with a vehicle while under the influence of drugs and using her cell phone has agreed to a plea deal. Beth Freeman of Mound will spend more than 5 years in prison under the agreement reached with Hennepin County prosecutors. Freeman struck Wayzata officer Bill Matthews of Plymouth as he was clearing debris last September along Highway 12. The Minnesota Senate this week approved renaming a portion of the road as Officer Bill Matthews Memorial Highway.
A temporary reprieve for drivers who use Highway 169 through Brooklyn Park and Champlin. The weather and frozen ground has forced MnDOT to postpone part of a project to replace the Elm Creek Bridge in Champlin. When work starts on May 7th, there will be a single lane of traffic between East Hayden Lake Road and the Mississippi River. There are still some closures to watch for on 169 starting Monday, April 23rd. MnDOT says resurfacing between Highway 610 and East Hayden Lake Road will force temporary closures in both directions. Well, winter held on into mid-April with a record amount of snow, of course.
But a thaw is finally here. Will that lead to flooding? We get some answers from Eric Nelson.
Just a few days after a blizzard battered the Twin Cities, there were royal blue skies, abundant sunshine, and mild temps in the northwest suburbs. That's a perfect combination to begin the slow process of melting all this snow.
We still currently have over a foot of ice on Lake Minnetonka, but we are getting very late in the season, and we know there's a bunch of snow to melt off from last weekend's snowstorm.
At the headwaters of Minnehaha Creek, Grays Bay Dam was opened for the season on Thursday.
This is unusual.
This was done to try and prevent future flooding in the upcoming weeks.
This is the second time we've done it in our history.
Every spring, there's always a potential for flooding here at the Mississippi River. But according to the National Weather Service, despite all this snow, that's not a concern at this time. That's good news for anyone who lives near the mighty Mississippi in Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park.
I would say no reason for alarm.
Because too much melting snow can sometimes make a river spill its banks.
It looks like things are in okay shape. I don't think you'll see major flooding. Where that might happen is if now in 2 weeks you get some back-to-back larger precipitation rain events.
Of course, in the Twin Cities, the weather can change in a Minnesota minute, which is why no one can guarantee that floods won't happen.
That's always the magic question every spring is what's going to happen, and it's always dependent on how much snow we received, how deep the frost depth is, and the biggest unknown every spring is are we going to get rain?
In Brooklyn Park, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
In about a month and a half, the school year ends, and with that, some new faces begin preparations for the next school year. In the Osseo School District, there will be 3 new principals. RONALD Salazar will take over at Birch Grove Elementary in Brooklyn Park. He's currently an elementary school principal with Minneapolis Public Schools. Also, Robert Nelson, a former principal in the Burnsville-Egan Savage District, will assume principal duties at Woodland Elementary. And Drain Pendleton, a principal in St. Paul's Schools, will become principal at Zanewood Elementary in Brooklyn Park. Well, several teachers in the Robbinsdale School District were in for a big surprise this week.
The Seven Dreams Foundation Grant Patrol handed out 16 grants totaling $36,000. The money is mostly raised by staff who contribute during an annual giving campaign. Then the foundation commits to giving back 100% to teachers for classroom programs.
It's super fun. We've had tears, we've had cheers. We hid in an office yesterday to surprise somebody. There was a school assembly this morning at one of our schools, so it's been fabulously fun. And what we love is there's so many great ideas out there.
At SONNESYN Elementary School, teachers won 2 grants. One will purchase tools to help students with reading. The other grant will reestablish butterfly and vegetable gardens at the school. Next year, each grade will have their own plot. Still ahead, we meet a Brooklyn Park volunteer who says less and does more.
Plus, Maple Grove battles Armstrong in a game of indoor softball. That's later in sports.
But first, a spring weekend we have been waiting for. 50s and sunny. We'll be right back. This weekend's forecast will definitely feel more like spring, and there is a free springtime celebration underway in Plymouth.
The 22nd annual Primavera is at the Plymouth Creek Center through Saturday evening. More than 100 works of art from 43 different artists are on display for the competition. It's a chance to see photography, sculpture, drawings, and paintings. But there's also a few unusual ones, such as this Wayzata High School student's submission of mixed media junk art. It's called Unplugged.
And it's not some remote thing you're seeing in a museum from somebody. It's local artists doing art that means something to them. And now, this time, this place.
Local artists will be on the scene Saturday from 3 until 4 o'clock, and the Primavera celebration will also include music and performing arts, and it runs through 7 o'clock Saturday evening. Well, as we observe Volunteer Week, our next volunteer profile is about a man whose dedication is unquestioned.
Reporter Shannon Slatton introduces us to a Brooklyn Park man who volunteers in more ways than one.
When it comes to great volunteers, sometimes the best ones are the ones who don't say much. They just show up to get things done. That's the story with Dave KALIHER, who helped start the Brooklyn Park Crime Prevention Association almost 3 decades ago.
I've heard stories from when he first started as a volunteer, and he hasn't let up since I've known him. He's always at meetings. I don't care if it's a snowstorm, Dave gets to the meeting. He's very dedicated.
He's almost a legend here. Dave has organized fundraisers and volunteered for Crime Watch and National Night Out.
Usually a volunteer will say, I've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, but Dave is one of the few that I know that can say they've been volunteering for decades.
He's also been an active volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, giving more than 150 hours in 2017 alone, all by helping out in the office. For Dave, the purpose in giving back is simple. There's the camaraderie.
To get to work with nice people, to be able to contribute to whatever organization I'm volunteering at, contribute to to their goals.
And then there's the community. And Dave KALIHER wants to do his part.
Feels good to be able to serve the community.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
Habitat for Humanity told us the only time that Dave doesn't volunteer for them is when he's volunteering as an election judge. So Dave makes the rounds, it sounds like. Yeah. Still ahead, impressive works of art on display by students at Robbinsdale area schools.
But first, Park Center's baseball team has plenty of returning players as they get set for the season. John Jacobson is in next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. There's plenty of melting going on, but not yet enough to play softball on grass fields. Several teams are getting games played in sports domes. Armstrong and Maple Grove battled indoors Thursday. Top of the second inning, Amanda Tyler drops in a hit to score Mavis Sachs for a 2-0 Crimson lead. Fourth inning, Ava Duick rips the hit. This scores 2 more runs, and it's 5-0 Maple Grove. Sixth inning, Sophie Colhane with a perfect swing on this pitch. A souvenir for a lucky fan, a 2-run homer for Colhane. And they aren't done. Top of the seventh, Jade Tomaszek crushes another Crimson home run to left. It's a 3-run shot for Tomaszek, and Maple Grove goes on to win 11-0. Maple Grove also beat Andover 4-2 right after that win over Armstrong. Tomaszek continued her hot start with another home run, going 2 for 3 in the game. The Crimson had 10 hits, and Duick pitched a 4-hitter for the win. Corinne Olson homered for the Huskies. Maple Grove is now 3-0. In lacrosse, teams are starting to head outside now, and some of those schools with turf fields are able to start playing games as well. Benilde St. Margaret's girls hosting St. Louis Park in a Metro West Conference game. Snow around the field, but not on it. First half, Maria de Caesar scores for a 4-0 Benilde lead. Piper Elin sets up Maitland Luxan. Her shot in for another Red Knights goal. Elin switches hands and slips the defender and scores, and Benilde leads 8-1 at halftime. Second half, Maggie Anderson goes hard to the goal and scores. Benilde continues to dominate play. De Caesar wins the face-off, and she'll make a fast run to the goal here, giving Benilde an 11-2 lead. And De Caesar will work her way through the Orioles defense and score again. She nets 5 goals. Benilde wins 12-5. Red Knights boys also won their game 15-2 over Park. The dimensions of the sports domes don't work well for games for baseball, but plenty of practice sessions have been held in them. Jay Wilcox caught up with the Park Center baseball team and has this season preview.
There is plenty of experience on the Park Center baseball team this spring with 9 returning regulars. That doesn't make it any less frustrating to be stuck inside, but the veteran guys do know how to prepare for a season.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot to have people returning because everyone's just got that extra bit of experience and everyone's familiar with how everyone else plays, and just a little extra bit of team bonding there, just having everyone coming back.
Sure, a lot of our guys have been here since they were 7th, 8th grade, so they're going into their 4th, 5th season already, which they just become great role models for our younger guys, and they just kind of lead the way. So
the Pirates have struggled in recent seasons and finished with 1 conference win in the Northwest Suburban and 6 overall last season. They feel that this team is deeper and potentially better.
We just got to have more confidence in each other. We have a strong team, and we just got to know that we can beat tough opponents. Try to win as many games as we can. Hopefully, past few years we've gotten knocked out quickly in sections, and hopefully try to do some damage there this year.
The Pirates would like to score more runs this spring and are working on that. They also know pitching will be put to the test in this weather-challenged season.
We have a really strong pitching staff, and our pitchers know that we have guys behind them backing them up for defense.
We're really excited about our pitching staff. We think it's going to be one of the deepest we've had since I've been here. So if we can just kind of, protect the baseball, play good defense behind our pitchers, I think our offense is going to provide some runs.
We'll see if the Pirates can make a move up the standings this spring. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Like most teams, the Pirates have had a number of postponements already. They are scheduled to host Elk River Tuesday if field conditions permit. Alex and Mike, back to you.
All right, see what happens. Thank you. Up next, an impressive show of creativity.
Robbinsdale District students showcase their best works of art when we come back.
finally today, the Robbinsdale Area Schools Student Art Show is currently underway at the Robin Gallery.
In today's Weekend Showcase, Neil Persley gives us a sneak peek.
This show is 6th through 12th grade, and I am always impressed by the middle school level of art.
I found one of those elusive middle school artists.
Art is easy and it's fun, and I like to draw because it's expression, so I like to draw.
Often high school gets celebrated a lot because of the technical skills of our high school students, but the creativity, imaginations, and the skill level of the students from 6 through all the way up to 12 always impresses me.
The 2018 Student Art Showcase features about 150 pieces from 6 Robbinsdale area schools.
2 of the big dresses that you'll see are from my IB students, and those were a part of a project that we had called Project Greenway, where it was a fashion show out of recycled. They had to create their item out of recycled materials.
Just don't get caught out in a rainstorm or stand too close to an open flame. Leah Dussault was one of the organizers and teaches visual arts to the 6th through 8th graders at Sandburg Middle School.
We choose artwork that's high quality, where students put a ton of effort, imagination, craftsmanship, and care into their work. We take the time to frame it and hang it properly like a real art gallery so they can experience that.
If you get a few minutes, stop into Robin Gallery so you can experience some really impressive creativity coming out of the Robbinsdale area students. From the Robin Gallery in Robbinsdale, Neil Persley, CCX News.
The Student Art Showcase will be up at the Robin Gallery through Thursday, April 26th. And wow, especially the middle school art. That's really impressive.
Yeah, the kids really have a wide imagination.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
A vision.
Yep.
That's all the news for right now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you back here again Monday, starting at 4.